substantive issues. It has been, I can say in all sincerity, a really, really powerful experience for us to be with you. So we are grateful for that. What we have to share with you is something that basically is made up of your words and then a bit of writing we have done off of the ideas and words we have heard and observed. So the song you'll hear, the words, everything comes from our time with you and has all been made and generated in the last several days. So I think with that, I'll just say, again, thanks for having us with you. And this is something we want to share back. Thank you.
Cindy Hammer, Catholic Charities, West Virginia, Wheeling, West Virginia.
My name is Sister Norma Pimentel, and I am with the Diocese of Brownsville, Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley.
Greg Kepferly, Catholic Charities of Santa Clara County, San Jose, California.
I'm Rebecca Sayora, Executive Director of Catholic Social Services of Laredo, Texas.
My name is Mary Bay Walther, and I work for Catholic Charities in Jacksonville, Florida.
My name is Father Reagan Schreiber, and I work with Catholic Charities of East Tennessee in the Diocese of Knoxville.
God closed a door and opened a window. Well, the way I got here, I was inspired by a nun who brought me to St. Louis for a service weekend. And from there, well, our organization used to be called Catholic Social Services. Then we changed our name to Catholic Charities. We sort of rebranded, though I don't know if that's what you called it. But anyway, right after the change, 3 people came up to me at an agency fair and said, "Oh, I know you. You helped me with my adoption." Or, "You really helped my mother." Or, "You guys actually saved my life." The name change actually helped us be seen, which is really important. There is an almost bottomless pit of need out there. And in our society, well, it's my personal opinion, more and more people are moving toward a resentment of the person who needs help. Well, this is a problem. Well, even faithful Catholics ask, why should I give to this person when they are not working as hard as I am? Well, I grew up with parents saying, "There, but for the grace of God, go I." Too many people nowadays are judging the reasons behind the problems of poverty. We are called to advocate for those in need, and we are called to touch the hearts of everyone else, to nurture grace, generosity, and love. The face of poverty has changed since 2008. We used to see people who didn't have the skills to find or keep a job. Now we're seeing people who were professionals and don't know the ropes of the world. How do we help people break the cycle of poverty with dignity? How do we do that as funding gets thinner and thinner? And how can we be heard in the noise of a political season that seems to very purposely ignore what we care about the most? And that's why I come here, to pursue an ancient mission with modern tools. And that's why I always remind myself we couldn't do this without our volunteers, and we couldn't do it if our clients didn't have our backs. You find grace in the tiniest moments. The things that stick with you are the little things that client says to you. The clients are very wise. They have definitely given me more than I have given them.
I climbed up the mountainside, leaning. I looked out, sky so wide. Lean on, take your wings. I can take your wings. We'll take the weight.
It's definitely difficult to get things done. Like, for instance, now, there are a lot of things that are up for reauthorization.
Food stamps.
Yes, for instance, food stamps in the Farm Bill. And that is something that we're really concerned about. Also, the Older Americans Act And the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, they're both up for reauthorization as well.
You don't have to get reauthorization in order to do it, but you have to get reauthorization so you can put it in the budget so you can spend the money.
My story is different than his. Let me get my story in now because I know that his is going to take forever.
I'm just going to listen.
I was working in the corporate world, and that was kind of what I was trained in. And after a while, I didn't want to do it anymore. If I'm really honest, it was just a job to me. I wanted to make a transition, and I'm not a Catholic. I was like, you guys know I'm not a Catholic, right? And they said, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, that was amazing to me that they would accept me like that. I've been here for 13 years, and I've been working my way up ever since. I look at my work, and I truly believe it was ordained by God. This is my path. I never set out to do this, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Not being a Catholic and being a part of carrying this mission, it's invaluable. I wake up every morning and I love what I do.
Oh, you done?
Please.
Look, I've been doing this for 40 years. I started working on Capitol Hill 3 weeks after Nixon got into office. I was a 21-year-old intern for a representative from Mississippi, the first African-American intern to work in Washington since the 1870s. I was born and raised Catholic and black in Jim Crow, Mississippi. Now, when we went to the white churches, we weren't allowed to receive communion, or if we were, we had to wait until everyone else had received it first. Can you imagine? To receive God, we went second. But when I went to Catholic school, the nuns would have all of us receive communion before them. Now, the father didn't like that. But they said, sorry, Father, these are our children. Now, I was inspired by that. I've had 10 different jobs in the last 40 years. But I always wanted to work for Catholic Charities because it's the voice of the church put into action. This is where the work actually gets done. Now, being a Catholic is about teaching the word, but it's also action.
See, I told you it was going to be a long story. I'm just kidding. He's my buddy. But no, seriously, it is easier to get into offices because of the work we do. The name Catholic Charities is respected by people on Capitol Hill.
I mean, we have instant credibility there, which is funny because most Catholics don't understand what we do. But it's still difficult. And sometimes people don't want to acknowledge that poverty exists, even in their own district. They want to turn their heads. No one wants to help the poor. I mean, you can see why the governor said that thing about the 47%. They don't want to recognize it. We keep the issue of poverty on the radar, and that's a major success. We actually save the government a lot of money. Our programs pick up the slack.
At the heart, I'm not an activist. You're not gonna see me carrying a sign. You're not going to see me marching in a protest. I'm interested in the intellectual intersections, ethics, education, policy. How the moral traditions make sense of modern day issues of importance. That's what innovation means, right?
Taking what came before
and making something new and effective out of it.
Innovation in programming is a matter of survival for organizations now.
If you're not innovative, you're not existing.
There is no source of funding you can count on anymore.
New normal equals operating in complete uncertainty.
I'm trying to think of a good image for it.
It's like jumping on a trampoline with holes in it.
It's like forgetting how to ride a bike while you're riding the bike.
It's like holding on when you're not sure what you have to hold on to.
Fundamentally, no one does it better than Catholics. I know, I said something very bold just now, but we're also very humble, and sometimes that isn't the best for our organization.
In our county, a good paying job is $9 an hour. We don't have big businesses or industries. We want to give people the opportunity to help themselves, but that kind of wage is just never going to support a family.
Our faith is expressed in what we do and how we do it. More about how we do it. There are a lot of organizations out there that help the homeless, but when we see someone who looks bad, smells bad, and is ornery, we still see Jesus Christ.
It's not about telling people what they should do. It's about asking them, what are you thinking?
I bring 100% of my personal beliefs to my work. All people deserve an opportunity to benefit from what the community has to offer and what's available to the world, particularly the young and those who are impoverished. Now, they may have been born into poverty. That doesn't have to be their lot in life.
We are the last safety net. If we don't find the funds, children will splash cold water on their faces in a 30-degree home with no heat. People will go hungry.
It was my mother who taught me to pray, and my father who told me I had to go to church.
Most of our employees and our clients are not Catholic, but they come to us because they know they will be treated differently because of our foundation of faith.
I need this conference to be a place where I can find new and innovative programs that are already set up. We have no time to start from scratch. We need proven models that are ready to go.
Why are images of poverty overwhelmingly of brown people when the majority of people living in poverty in America are not brown people?
These tough conversations, they haven't come to your community yet. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride.
It's not always about the homeless person that got back on his feet. Those large transformations, although I'm sure people here have plenty of those stories. We have to communicate the small things, the little push, the extra opportunities we've made for people.
I go with what's called the 2% solution.
Is there a grand scheme?
No.
Is there a silver bullet?
Nope.
Is there more than just one strategy?
Yes, and that's what I mean when I say 2% solution.
You could be clearer.
All right, you do whatever it takes. Earned income tax credit, asset development, moving people to employment, advocacy to move the minimum wage from $8 to $10 an hour, fighting payday loans, working on a very micro level, neighborhood by neighborhood, block by block, house by house. You get every single child out of poverty by creating a culture of respect and collaboration. How's that?
Clearer.
I am so excited by the 20-something, 30-somethings coming into our organization. Graduates from UCLA, from Stanford, Georgetown, with diverse cultural backgrounds. Turning down larger incomes to work with us because they know we work from mission. They are well educated. They know their profession.
They're passionate.
The educational programs aimed at uplifting diverse populations have really worked. I'm relatively new to working for Catholic Charities. My first connection was when I learned of a program assisting young men in the El Salvadorian War in the 1980s. When I think back to meeting some of these boys of 14 and 15, I shudder.
That's the same age as my son is now.
You know the old saying?
You know one Catholic Charities program? You know one Catholic Charities program.
There are over 80 programs, 80 organizations in my area alone. It's my job, and I can't say I know them all. The challenge of our internal communication is at least as hard as our outreach to funders and to the community.
How can we get together with some unified messaging?
How can we know about programs in other cities or even internationally?
We've had some layoffs this year. One caseworker I know, she is now covering at least 2 full-time jobs. I know her plate is full, but when I see the care she uses, inviting a client into her office, putting all that aside, that inspires me.
One of the most exciting things we've done is these poverty simulations. We brought them to the corporate